This is a weird thing to do. Israel Adesanya is checking Alex Pereira's left hand with his right, making it difficult for Pereira to punch accurately with that hand. Pereira commits both hands to stripping that grip and leaves himself totally defenseless in the process. Why does he overcommit in this way? Well, quite simply, Alex Pereira's left hand is the Dim Mak. The left hook is peculiar because the punch is at its purest, with body weight moving in the same direction as the punch, when the fighter is moving his weight from his lead foot to his rear foot. This means that the most powerful left hooks are often thrown while moving back into your stance. Many of Alex Pereira's best connections in kickboxing came from timing the left hook while giving ground to the opponent. For more on this, read my article Advanced Striking 2.0, Alex Pereira. In his MMA career, Pereira has done a lot more advancing with his left hook. These are not as powerful as his counter left hooks because he is trying to advance onto his left foot while the punch is moving towards his right foot, but he can still swing them with plenty of force. Pereira's application of the jab and body jab is all built around getting the opponent to reach. As soon as the opponent begins to parry his jab, he can step deep and swing the left hook around the back of their hand. The most obvious example of this is Sean Strickland, a man who is constantly reaching for the opponent's jab. Now, left hook go bonk might not seem like the height of the sweet science, but a great left hook suddenly tips every shootout into the left hooker's favour. Pereira's fights with Israel Adesanya were complicated by Adesanya's willingness to hand fight. By checking Pereira's lead hand, he could make jabbing and hooking much more difficult. Sometimes Adesanya would stay orthodox and check both hands. This is very common in Muay Thai. George Foreman and Sandy Sadler excelled with it in boxing. And Daniel Cormier built his entire MMA striking game around this and eye pokes. In 4-ounce gloves, a fighter can actually hold his opponent's wrists, which is a massive upgrade on trying to track the opponent's hands in boxing gloves. More often though, Adesanya would switch to southpaw, allowing him to hand fight Pereira's lead hand, but place more distance between himself and Pereira and free his rear hand. This is what is called an open stance matchup. One fighter is southpaw and the other is orthodox. Open stance 101 in boxing is to check the opponent's lead hand from the outside, step to the space where their jab or hook would go, and throw your rear hand for free. Story time! The late 2000s was something of a golden age in the light heavyweight division, and one of the up-and-comers was a lad named Luiz Banya Kane. He had a string of impressive victories in the UFC, but he only really did one thing. Kane was a southpaw who came out, slapped the opponent's lead hand down, leaned into where that hand would have been able to punch, and threw a long left straight. After 3 good wins in the UFC, Kane met Antonio Ruggiero Nogueira, who was also a southpaw and could sort of box. Suddenly Kane was out of ideas, and soon he was out of consciousness. Adesanya's lead hand fighting was very effective in stifling Pereira's lead hand work, and allowed Adesanya to hit and get away on many occasions that Pereira backed him to the fence. Pereira's answers were fairly crude. He attempted to drop his hand or circle it out while standing right in front of Adesanya. It resulted in Pereira trying to move forward but drop his hands at the same time, and Adesanya wobbled him by coming off the fence with a good one too. Another interesting aspect of the hand fight was Adesanya's use of the inside hand trap. This worked when Pereira kept his lead hand high to block Adesanya's right straight, but also threw Pereira's left hand off path and stifled his famous counter left hook. Izzy would pump the jab, and instead of drawing it back into his guard, he would pull Pereira's left hand down from inside to open the line of the right straight. When Pereira met Adesanya for the rematch, his approach to hand fighting was much more disciplined. Much of the fight was spent circling outside of Adesanya's lead leg in order to gain outside hand position on the lead hand. This was interspersed with some lead leg step-up calf kicking, something that makes Pereira a double-edged terror where most MMA fighters can only calf kick effectively against an opponent in the same stance as them. Adesanya's answer to having his lead hand controlled was to throw a powerful rear leg kick, and Pereira quickly adopted the same answer to losing the hand fight. Pereira's fight against Jamahal Hill shows Pereira against a southpaw who is attempting to hand fight but is just not up to the task. Pereira controlled Hill's lead hand so effectively that Hill rushed ahead of himself and committed a major sin. He tried to throw his rear hand while his lead hand was being controlled. This left Pereira's left hand completely free to chin him, while Hill's right hand stood no chance of blocking the blow. Pereira's fight with Khalil Rountree showed Pereira using the hand fight in a similar way to how Adesanya used it against him. Rowntree's best weapon is his lead hand, and Pereira used his own lead hand to limit Rowntree's effectiveness. While Rountree kept his lead hand tight to his guard and did not engage in a true hand fight, Pereira kept his lead hand and shoulder outside of Rowntree's and forced Rountree to punch down the inside of his hand, resulting in easy parries and occasional counter left hooks. This fight showed another aspect of the hand fight, one that Pereira's upcoming opponent, Magomed Ankalaev, uses well. If you control the opponent's lead hand and make it difficult for them to hit, they're more likely to lash out when you stop hand fighting. By the third and fourth round, Pereira had the read on a tiring Rountree, and suddenly his lead hand was down, and he was begging Rountree to swing at him. Annoying jabs into pull counters allowed Pereira to do much of the damage, up to a TKO finish. Magomed Ankalaev is a strong southpaw with a powerful right hand. Curiously, he often chooses to concede the hand fight and spiral himself back to the inside of the opponent's lead foot, hoping to draw them onto a counter right hook. He presents very different problems to Israel Adesanya, and until now has not demonstrated the ability to hand fight in the way that would eliminate Pereira's left hand as a threat. I make these videos for fun and they aren't monetized, but I host the Jack Slack podcast twice a week and write long-ass articles about the intricacies of martial arts technique and tactics on my Patreon. Cheers!